Thanks. Look them up, guys. Okay, Allan, down here. Oliver, Joe, you're in the middle. George, you're over with me. Great. I think we're just going to share mics. So before each demo day, we invite some of our investor friends to share an update. So the vast majority of the people in the audience are investors. So it's always great to hear what other investors are up to. So if you could just briefly introduce yourselves, and then before you pass the mic on, give one trend or one thing that you've seen that you find interesting sort of since the beginning of the year, in the last 6 months. Thanks.
Thanks, William. My name is George. I'm a managing partner of Fountain Capital. We are actually having a renminbi fund and a US dollar fund. And over the last 5 years, we invested in Silicon Valley startups, also Chinese startups, but mostly the companies have cross-border or they have a dual headquarters, or we're particularly looking for companies have potential global impact. The last few months, we actually been heavily looking at educational tech. That's a trend in China market. We feel that a lot of changes in the current K-12 education system, and the whole country is moving towards like coding, robotics, and all the other educational programs. And we feel that's going to be something very big in the next 3-5 years. So we've been looking for heavily in those areas. Another section we're looking at is fintech. But there has been overwhelmed by blockchain last year. But in fact, a lot of fintech companies like insurance technologies that have seen our ABS cloud, right? And those are the things that we're really looking for that can fundamentally changing what's the financial industry. Thanks.
Yeah.
My name is Chang. I'm a partner with 8 Roads, which is actually the proprietary venture capital arm for Fidelity International. Relatively new brand, but Fidelity has been doing venture capital since 1969. We have $6 billion US dollars under management currently across our multiple funds around the world. So we're global, like SOS in that way. And in China, we were actually one of the oldest VCs. Got started in the mid-1990s with Series A investments in Asia Info as well as Alibaba. And in China, we've deployed up to $1 billion in capital to date. On our 6th and 7th vintage, we're focused in healthcare and technology. In technology, we're focused in consumer tech as well as fintech, but really the core of what we are looking at is enterprise technology, which is my personal focus as well. The one area I think that's interesting, I wouldn't say it's a 6-month thing, but it's definitely something we're doubling down, is in the data arena. So when I talk about data, not so much data services, but we have a premise that what's happening with data, the scale of data, it's doubling every year. It's getting to a point where the underlying IT or technology is not equipped to deal with that, the requirements, the performance, the scalability that's needed to unleash its full potential across analytics, across AI, across the cloud. And so our corollary premise is that you're going to find a lot of innovation in the Valley, but you're also going to find a lot of it that's China-centric. And the reason for that is because the data challenge is happening in China first. So you have multiple companies here generating 5 petabytes of data per day, and they don't know what, unlike a lot of the US companies, the Facebooks and Googles, that have internal capability to deal with that, a lot of the Chinese companies, ICBC, China Merchants, China Mobile, they don't know what to do with it. And so they're much more hungry to work with startups to solve these problems. And so we're working with companies that are working on this problem. Some of them are actually US based and actually coming here to get close to the customers. And that's the interesting thing.
不好意思，我要讲中文了。我姓李，李忠强， Oliver，我是 Draper Dragon，德鼎创新的啊。我们是一家做早期的啊，我们最开始06年我们叫 DFJ Dragon 德丰杰龙脉，所以我们有美元的股权，有人民币的股权，还有数字资产的基金，非常的早期。那过去的6个月或者更多的时间，我自己体会最深的2件事啊，其实也可以说1件事。第一个呢，就大家讲，硬科技啊，这个，我自己其实就是投硬科技是比较多的啊。那大家为什么讨论硬科技？其实是一个什么事儿？就是资本市场不好的时候，大家在想，如果这公司没有 revenue 或者是没有 profit， 能不能给它一个好的估值？能不能 IPO？ 是讨论这个事情。那过去的实际上早期在中国也很慢，所以回报是很慢，是非常辛苦的。但是对这件事儿啊，我们是非常的，现在开始其实是越来越乐观了。因为这个中国非常多的工程师啊 ，entrepreneur 也因为马上要来的科创板啊，所以这个是毫无疑问是非常乐观的。好，谢谢。
Hi, my name is Allan Chang. I'm an executive director at Happiness Capital. We are venture capital arm of Lee Company, the 130-year-old soy sauce and oyster sauce conglomerate. And we invested in a bunch of different types of verticals, but our investment program, as you can probably guess from our name, is built around building an ecosystem of happiness. So as long as your companies can provide solutions that make your users, consumers, anyone along the stakeholder chains happy, we are interested, and we are a US dollar fund. And one of the recent trends that I want to share, especially with all the startup entrepreneurs, is that startup companies tend to take in VC monies earlier and earlier. And it could be a good and bad thing. The good thing is that you can get access to capital earlier than in the past few years. But the bad thing is that you are being watched and will be required to become mature earlier than you expected. And as you probably know, shared by William just now, VC funds are getting bigger and bigger. And VCs will very likely, to double down on their investments, as you've shown, good progress. So this is something I want to share.
Great. So we're going to give our panel a chance to just introduce one of the startups that they've invested in, or companies that they've invested in the last 6 months or so, and also why they invested. And then we'll bring them back again in a year and see what happened. Yeah.
In last 6 months?
Just last, six
a year
to 9
or so.
months.
Okay. We did invest in one of the fintech company based in Shenzhen. It's doing ABS, asset-based security cloud. They're building a cloud platform for helping small to medium companies to borrow loans. So in China, it's a lot of only public companies has credit rating. I think 2B or above, you have ability to borrow money from loans, from banks and stuff. But all the other companies actually have no channel to borrow loans. So this company is very interesting because the founder was the first chief banker for WeChat Bank. He actually came out of Tencent and started his own company. So WeChat was the first one investing them. We're following that with the second round. We think that's actually going to solve a lot of problems because over the last year or so, a lot of Chinese enterprises are having troubles to borrow money, right? Other ways, and you heard a lot of stories and government trying to push money to the small medium, but the institutions have their own troubles to assessing those companies' credibility and also, default ratios and what it can be. So this company using that cloud technology, using artificial intelligence to analyze all the different loans currently for different companies, and they actually compute a reasonable rate for what loans going to be. And so it's kind of technology we really think to change the industry.
Very cool.
Thanks.
Yep.
Okay, I guess I'll talk about a company that we actually invested in a while ago, but closed their Series C just a couple months ago, and we put more money in, so that counts as an investment. Company's called Killigence, and I think I picked it because I think it exemplifies with what I was talking about earlier around technology to support the data explosion underway. Killigence was founded by a team and a founder who initially they were at eBay, and they were trying to solve a problem, which was they wanted to be able to query billions of rows of data at sub-second latency. And they looked around, they couldn't find anything, and so they decided to build it themselves. Okay? And so what they did is they created an engine that would cube the data, put it in a format which would enable it to be processed much faster. And they were kind enough to decide to open source it and created a project that ultimately became a top-level Apache project, Apache Keeling, however you want to pronounce it. Eventually became adopted by over 1,000 companies, so widely popular, solving a very concrete problem. And so as the top contributors to this project, they were getting a lot of inquiries from people. How do you do this? How do you do this? Can you help me? Use this thing to solve my problems in my company. So they said, this is a business idea. So very much like the Databricks folks who created Apache Spark, these guys decided to go out and build a company because they were getting a lot of folks, wanting their help. And initially, I think they were thinking about doing something like a Cloudera where they're going to service and consult these companies, but very quickly decided that wasn't the way to go. They built a product around their engine, which included a number of enterprise-grade features that would make it much more powerful. And on top of that, they added some augmented AI features that enable you to predict the type of queries you're going to make. They connected it to easy-to-use BI tools, including Tableau, Power BI, as well as now Microsoft Excel. And so you've got now something that's going to enable almost any Power Excel user to become a data analyst with minimal data science intervention, allow you to get at data and drive that very, very quickly into a query, into a result that can impact the business. And so this company, to our surprise, took off really, really fast from a funding perspective. Koatsu came in 2 months ago with a $25 million round, and we gladly followed. This is one that we're excited about.
Thanks.
我还是说一说区块链。过去的半年我们投了几个啊，不多。我说3个，但其实是为什么一块儿说呢？因为我们现在做的事情就是，我们过去已经投的项目怎么落地啊，这是一个。第二就是我们现在投的项目的一个关注的点就是，怎么样让这些资产数字化上链，以及怎么样让这些传统的钱，特别是机构的钱，要进到这个数字资产这个领域。所以我们投了一个评级的公司Token Insight， 它是一个做 rating 做这个指数，也做这个资管的我们也投了一个小葱媒体公司，就在这个附近我们也正在投一个交易所这个交易所是一个合规的To B 的这是一个今年要拿牌照的在主流的国家，所以可能过去的半年我们做的这3个项目并不是非常的技术的项目但是我认为也是非常有意义的。
One of the more exciting deals that we've done since the beginning of the year, I would pick a French company called Insect. Insect that starts with a Y, not an I, and it's a startup that focuses on making insect protein. And these insect proteins are mainly used for food feed, mostly for fish. And we're excited about it is because people want better and healthier food, and actually we needed to start from the beginning of the food chain. So we make healthier than the feed for the fish, and people consume healthier fish, and we stay healthy. And who knows? Right now, a lot of people are starting to eat plant-based meats, plant-based burgers, and in 5 to 7 years, who knows? Maybe people will start eating insect-based food. I mean, human beings.
Great, thanks a lot. So we really appreciate your help being part of the SOSV Chinaccelerator family. Thanks for sharing, and please take your seats and we'll get started with the demo day.